All right, we are live. How's my audio, guys? Please make sure that you are liking the stream so that more people end up watching the show. I will do a test to see the audio is working so that we could get started. Are we? Let me know. I think the audio is working. Yeah. All right, so we're doing France today. And tomorrow, guys, we're going to do Bangladesh. So, guys, thank you so much in the live chat, confirming that you have liked the stream. Alfred is here. Alfred, can you confirm with me that the audio is working so that I can get started? I have a lot of... Yeah, there we go. Everything is working. Fantastic. All right, D is here. 2B is here. Atheist Demon is here. Alfred is here. Alfred, thank you so much for being here, highlighting people's comments. All right, so, guys... I know I'm supposed to be doing Bangladesh today. Bangladesh is like, I don't know what the hell is happening. Dolly has already went and done a lot of research for me, and I'm going to be covering, apparently Islamists are attacking Hindus. I'm not very certain yet about the exact details or whether the reports are true. We're going to be doing that tomorrow. Today we're going to be doing France. Tomorrow we're going to be doing Bangladesh because you guys know there was a revolution just happened there. They toppled the government, and now they're attacking temples apparently and attacking Hindus. And that will be the show for like Islamists are attacking Hindus and attacking their temples. So we're going to review that tomorrow. Today we have a couple of videos from France. We haven't been doing France for a while, so we're back to France today. And tomorrow we're going to focus on Bangladesh. So thanks. I was confused at first by the live not starting. Okay, fantastic. Everything is good. All right, so let's get started. Guys, make sure you're liking the stream. Let me know in the live chat that you have liked the stream. Alfred will highlight your comments saying that you have liked the stream, so and more people end up liking the stream. And also your other comments, Alfred will be highlighting that as well, so that your comments is part of the show as mine, and not just as well, not just mine. Okay? Sorry, I'm a little bit all over the place because right now I'm also focusing on the Iranian side because I'm trying to keep up with the news. There's so many things happening around the world. We have Venezuela, we have the UK, we have riots in the UK. We're waiting every second to see if the Islamic Republic is going to be attacking Israel. We have what's happening in Bangladesh. We have I'm following the US news, figuring out there was a VP picked by Kamala Harris. There's a stock market crash. There's a stock market recovery apparently in Japan. So there's so many things happening, and I'm trying to do these shows and also keep up with the news, and also make sure that I'm keeping up with my studies, with my readings. So it's really chaotic right now. So bear with me here. All right. So let me see the first video. This is from France. These are some Islamists claiming that Islam is the future of France and the future of the West. So listen to their arguments. If there are translations, I will read the translation. So I know a lot of you are not looking at the screen. I don't know, exercising, walking your dog, washing the dishes. I don't know what you're doing, but maybe driving. So I will, if there's subtitle translations, I will read that as well. Guys, make sure you like the stream again. It's very important. The channel needs to grow. Okay, so let's listen to this. Yeah, okay, so this, by the way, this is France. This is France. I know it doesn't look like it, but it is France.
Ici en France, évidemment.
So the translation says, here in France, of course, jihad has not been launched yet. What? By the way, I haven't pre-watched this, so I'm going to be as shocked with these comments as you guys. Here in France, of course, jihad has not been launched yet. I mean, that yet is quite alarming at the very end. Wouldn't you agree? The yet at the end. Okay.
Le jihad n'a pas été lancé.
We are not here to kill people. Okay, so what the hell? So first of all, he said that jihad has not started yet, and he's also confirming that jihad refers to killing people, right? And so what happens when jihad starts? Let People are like, yet? But jihad has not started yet, and we are not here to KIL. Okay, I'm just going to say it, to kill people, all right? So YouTube, this is not my views. These are these people's views. I'm just reviewing it. So does that mean that when you are now ready to start jihad, that's the moment that you're going to be killing people? Oh, God, this is like, they're not hiding it, are they? Okay.
On n'est pas là pour...
So Levantic is saying, we are not here to kill people. No, he's not. He lied. No, he is not lying. He means that we're not here to kill people yet. Okay, yet. So he's not lying. This is the Meccan phase. He's completely being honest, guys. Don't explain everything with lying. This guy is being completely honest. The yet part.
tuer les gens.
We are simply wondering. Oh, maybe it's time. Get prepared. So see, we're not here to kill people. We're just wondering. Maybe it's time. Get prepared. Just be prepared in case we get to a point where we need to kill people. We're not saying that we're going to kill people. We're just going to be very prepared for the time that it comes. Wow. Why do you think he's lying? He's like being very transparent.
Simplement, on est en train de se dire, il serait peut-être temps qu'on se prépare.
Oh, we're not here to kill. Look at them. Look at the finger. Like, we're not here to kill people. We're just wondering that maybe we should be prepared for it. Oh my God. What? Holy crap. Look at how cute he's being about it. We're not here to kill people yet. We're just wondering if we should prepare for it. We don't know what may happen. Okay. Holy crap, man. What is happening? And he's saying, because seeing how oppressed we are, we never know. We never know. We're not here to kill people, but we never know. Guys, YouTube, this is not my opinion. These are not this channel's opinion. I'm just reviewing this video. I wasn't expecting this to go this way so fast.
Parce que vu comment on est opprimé, on sait jamais.
You see, we are starting to be truly worried. Like, okay, what are you worried about? Let me see. How are you oppressed?
On commence à être véritablement inquiet.
Our anger today, it is more than visible. No shit.
Aujourd'hui, elle est plus que visible. Non!
And saying he's shouting in this megaphone, not even, and it is also legitimate.
Elle est aussi légitime.
People are starving, their cupboards are empty. By the way, this is very interesting that he's saying that, like, people are starving, okay? Because Islam doesn't care about, like, people's prosperity and economic power or their wealth or this world, right? But it always starts by pointing out to, taking advantage of people who might be not happy with their economic situation. But it starts like that. Like Islam started like that as well, right? It goes to the most oppressed, most alienated people in society, and it mobilizes them to come into power. But when it comes to power, it doesn't actually take care of those people who were alienated or were poor or didn't have the wealth that they wanted or the security that they wanted, right? It basically then just feeds itself. But it does take advantage of people not being happy with their situation. This is why it's important. This is why we always say in this channel, the best way to fight Islam is not to fight Muslims. The best way to fight Islam is to befriend Muslims and also give Muslims better lives. Because the way that Muslims get these people recruit Muslims is by taking advantage of how unhappy they are with their situation in this world, and eventually they'll come and promise them a better world, right? So if you improve Muslims' world, then the afterlife becomes less appealing. This is why a lot of people think that this channel is a hate channel, and because we're so like anti-Islam. But then when they come listen to us, like, oh yeah, the best way to fight Islam is to give Muslims better lives, make them feel included, make sure that they're not segregated, make their national identity overcome their Islamic identity. And also, if you want to change their mind, the best way to change their mind is to talk to them. And the best way to talk to them is to befriend them so that they actually listen to you. Like, oh my God, this is such a hateful channel. Wow, so hateful. Oh yeah, they're so anti-Islamic. Well, how do you want to fight Islam, huh? Befriending Muslims. Wow, so far-right, radical, bigoted. You know what? But yeah, this is Islam wants Muslims to be miserable and suffering so that it could recruit them. Islam wants this for Muslims. So Islam is bad for Muslims. Islam is bad for Muslims because Islam takes advantage of the blood and tears of Muslims. Okay, we anti-Islam types, we're good for Muslims because in our attempt to fight Islam, we think one of our best tools is to give them better lives, make them feel that they're more French than they are Muslim, right? So this is our tool. This is our way. So let's continue.
Leurs placards se vident,
Their fridges are almost empty. Yeah, guys, like just in the same way that these Islamists take advantage of the misery of Palestinians to do jihad on Israel and United States and everyone else, right? The Palestinians' blood and tears are used as fuel. Okay, the blood and tear of Muslims are used as tools for this Islamization agenda, right? There is Palestine. Here's the French Muslims. Your misery is used to give you a different identity, to separate you from the French society and give you your Islamic identity.
il y a presque plus rien dedans.
And what are we worried about? Our
Et de quoi on se
clothing.
préoccupe? De notre tenue vestimentaire.
Oh, so what are you saying? Hold on. And what are they? And what are we worried about? He means like the French society. Like, why are they worried about our hijab and our clothing if our fridges are empty? Well, actually, they're quite related. So, because Islam brings poverty. So here, let me tell you why your clothes and your fridge is connected to each other, right? The reason why some people's fridges are full and some people's fridges are empty is because countries that can afford to have an economy that brings prosperity, right, and brings development and trade, right, and stability, the stability required for all of this to happen is built on the back of better ideas, right? Islam brings instability. Islam brings poverty. Bad ideas are bad for business. Okay, when you have ideas that brings instability, when you have ideas that are does not give people individual freedom and choice and the tools to be able to be their own individual self and express themselves and be free economic agents in society that have to worry about building this world rather than the next one. When your ideas are that backwards, that is the ideas that a society has to be concerned about. That is an idea that a society has to fight back against because those ideas make countries poor. And those ideas are what empties fridges. So when you're saying, why are they worried about our clothes? Well, your clothes is not the issue. Your clothes is a reflection of the bad ideas that could take down a nation, that could harm its economy. So again, your clothes are a reflection of ideas that empties fridges. So these things are connected.
Vestimentaire, savoir si
to know whether our beard or like it's so amazing because imagine if you saw people with KKK costumes and you're like, okay, we're very concerned. Why are so many people with KKK costumes all of a sudden showing up in the streets, right? And then you say like, Armin, Black people in the United States, for example, are suffering from so many different issues and they don't have economic opportunities. They're being discriminated against and this and this and this. And you're worried about people's clothing. So Black people are suffering from other things that we need to be concerned about. Why are you so concerned about what people are wearing? Like, well, it's not the cloth on their body that is a threat, okay? If I'm seeing people are showing up with KKK costumes in the streets, and like, yeah, I'm not worried about the clothing itself. I'm worried about what that clothing is representing.
notre barbe ou le niqab des femmes
to know whether our beard or the niqab of women will improve the situation of the French. Yeah, so what do you think? You think Islam will improve the situation of the French?
Va améliorer la situation des Français.
Do you still agree? Oh, so now he's shouting into them. Oh, so here's wow. Okay, listen to this, okay? So he was saying, why are you concerned about our beards or niqab? People are suffering. People's fridges are empty. You guys, your priority is not in the right place if this many people are suffering and you're bartered with our clothes, with our beards and our niqabs, right? And then cut to the next to the next scene where he's shouting in the megaphone. What is he shouting?
Êtes-vous encore d'accord avec la démocratie
Do you still agree with democracy now?
maintenant?
No.
And the crowd shouts, no.
The reality is,
Wow. Okay, so see, this shows why we should be concerned. Okay, this shows why we should be concerned. Being against democracy empties fridges. So now this part is English, so I don't have to read the subtitles anymore. But look at that. Look at this. What they shout right on the next scene. Wow, these women are wearing like Al Qaeda flags.
Êtes-vous encore d'accord avec la démocratie maintenant?
No. The reality is, if you're French, if you're a Muslim, you are second class or even a third class citizen inside France today. Islam is the future for the West. It is the future for Paris. It is the future for France. It's the future for Europe. Islam will come and take over all these capitals one by one. Islam is on the streets. It's in the newspapers. It's on the magazines. It is a talking point. And the reason it's a talking point, because it's a challenge to the system and the way of life people are living here today. It's an alternative. I believe that we are definitely a danger to Western democracy. Not because he carries weapons, because he carries ideals.
All right, so that's very interesting. Let's actually answer this guy's points, okay? So he first talks about being second-class citizens, and then he wants to bring an ideology that would make everybody that is not a Muslim second-class citizen. That's what he just said. He's like, oh, Muslims in France are second-class citizens. What are we going to do in response? We're going to take over. We're going to make France an Islamic country. And then what are you going to do then if you have Sharia law? We're going to make non-Muslims second-class citizens, right? So they're complaining about, according to them, being in a situation that they want to eventually put non-Muslims in the same situation. So this is so hypocritical. First of all, you're not second-class citizens. If you are second-class citizens, it's because you have decided to be second-class citizens. You have made yourself second-class citizens by separating yourself from the rest of society, right? You have isolated yourself. You have segmented yourself. You're not proud to be French. You don't act French. You don't have the same values as France. You have made yourself separate from the rest of France. France is not trying to make you second-class citizen. In fact, France is trying to do everything to figure out a way to integrate you with the rest of society. You're the ones who's resisting that. France is trying to make your children integrate with the rest of society. That's why they're trying to make sure that your children are mixing with other children. That's why they're trying to make sure that you don't have homeschooling. That's why they're trying to make sure that your children don't come with religious symbols in school. So France is trying to make sure that you're not second-class citizens. You're resisting that. You don't want to be French. You don't agree with French values. You want to create a nation with a nation. You don't want to be second-class citizens, but you want to be different citizens. That's what you're doing. You're creating a two-tier system. You want to have your own rules, your own standards, separate from your own community, separate from the rest of society. This is a self-inflicted two-tier system, second-class citizenship. But again, even if France was doing this to you, which is not, you're doing this to yourself, it's very hypocritical because you're actually you're not against creating second-class citizens. You endorse it as long as you're doing it. You want to put your Sharia, you're like, oh, we're going to take over France. Yeah, and then what are you going to do to non-Muslims? First of all, atheists, Buddhists, Hindus should either convert to Islam or die, according to Islam. You know that. I could show you the hadith right now. and Christians and Jews will pay protection money and then be living there as second-class citizens. And I will show you the hadith actually for that. But let me actually listen to this one more time.
If you're a Muslim, you are second class or even a third class citizen inside France today. Islam is the future for the West. It is the future for Paris. It is the future for France. It's the future for Europe. Islam will come and take over all these capitals.
Islam will come and take over all these capitals one by one. So why are you complaining about being second? I don't understand. Why are you complaining about being second class citizen if that's exactly your recipe for non-Muslims after you take over?
By one. Islam is on the streets, it's in the newspapers, it's on the magazines. It is a talking point. And the reason it's a talking point, because it's a challenge to the system and the way of life people are living here today. It's an alternative. I believe that we are...
Wait, what did you say? The
system and the way of life people are living here today is an alternative.
And the way of life people are living here today...
The life people are living here today is an alternative.
It's an alternative.
Okay. I believe that we are definitely a danger to Western democracy. Not because you can...
Okay, I'm not saying it, okay? This Muslims is... The Muslim is saying it, okay? So this is... A lot of people that think that we're fear-mongering here on this channel. And the threat is not as significant as we claim that it is, okay? So don't listen to me. Don't listen to me. Listen to this guy. See?
Not because he carry weapons, because he...
So he's saying, yeah, I agree. This is actually more dangerous. He's saying that it's not because we carry weapons. Honestly, if they were carrying weapons, if they had the ISIS model, they would be less of a threat. If these people were actually using violence to try to take over, it would be identified as a threat immediately, and they would be neutralized. The danger is that they are smarter than ISIS. These people are smarter than ISIS. They're doing this. They're spreading their ideas. They're growing, and they're taking over. They're doing the Meccan phase. Like, they're following Muhammad more closely. ISIS was idiotic. They just jumped to the Medina phase. They jumped to the violent phase before they had the upper hand. The violent phase should come when you have the upper hand, not when you're this pathetically weak. You have to use non-violent ways on this in this phase. And because these people are following Muhammad's model more closely, they are actually more of a danger. They are a threat to democracy, and they are more of a threat to democracy because they're not using violence, because they're not using weapons. Imagine if they were using violence and weapons. Then the state will get involved more. It would be clear, like, we wouldn't have to raise the alarm. The state will get involved and they will be removed. It would be the end of it. It would be the end of it. It would go away like that. But they are more of a danger because they want to be a threat to Western way of life and democracy without using violence. Because now they could spread faster. Now there's no laws against them. Listen to this, look at this part. He's saying, and I'm not fear-mongering. He's saying we're a threat to Western democracy.
Because it's a challenge to the system and the way of life people are living here today. It's an alternative. I believe that we are definitely a danger to Western democracy.
Yes. So I agree. We are a danger to Western democracy. A lot of you guys think that, a lot of you who are anti-Islamic like me in the chat, a lot of you are naive. You think that when they say that we're not going to use violence, you think like, oh, taqiyya, Islam is just violence. Islam is always use violence. No, Islam has phases. They're not doing taqiyya. They're not lying. They don't want to use violence. And that's what makes them more dangerous. Okay. Idris is here from France. Hi.
Not because he carries weapons, because he carries ideals.
Yep. The mind virus is more dangerous when it's just a mind virus. Because it's easy to take them out militarily. I have some more videos from France, but let me just show you when he was talking about second-class citizens. Let me actually put this here. Let's zoom out a little bit, right? So remember that Muhammad himself advocated for this type of treatment when Islam is ruling, right? You're supposed to hold on. Why can I? How do I do this so that you can see the entirety of the? Okay, I'll just put it here. Right. So it says Muhammad, Allah's messenger, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. said, do not greet the Jews and the Christians. So remember, by the way, this is Sahih Muslim, so this is authentic hadith. It cannot be an inseparable part of Islam, right? I'm not going to repeat why every time I show the hadith to you. But remember, this is for the Medina phase. This is when Muslims are ruling and Christians and Jews are living under Sharia law, right? So Jews and Christians do not have, unlike other people, Jews and Christians do not have to convert to Islam. They can remain Jews and Christians. Atheists and Buddhists and Hindus, no luck for them. Zoroastrians, there has been a huge debate about that because Zoroastrians were also supposed to die, but when Islam took over Iran, there were just too many Zoroastrians to kill, so they tried to figure out how if they could call them the people of the book as well in some way, right? But when they got to India, then the Indians were just so obviously idol worshippers that they were like, okay, there's no excuse for these people, and they killed so many Hindus that they named mountains after Hindu Kush. They named mountains after killing Hindus. That's how many Hindus they killed. Because they couldn't, because Zoroastrians, they had a book. They were like, okay, they have a book. Can we call them the people of the book and not kill them? They were like, sure. But when they got to India, they had idols, and they were like, yeah, there's no excuse for these people. We have to go and we have to kill them. Again, YouTube, not my views, Islamic views. But then again, Jews and Christians, because they're people of the book, they could remain Jews and Christians, but they have to live as second-class citizens. And again, this hadith, I love showing this hadith because it just reminds me always of how Jews lived under Nazi Germany before the Nazis decided to send them off to Auschwitz and other concentration camps, right? But there was a period that this is how they lived, when the Jews were living in, German streets with the star on their arm, and then they were identified as Jews, and people will come and mistreat them while they were walking in the streets. It reminds me exactly of that, because Muhammad said, do not greet the Jews and Christians before they greet you. So never say hi to them unless they say hi to you first. It's their responsibility to say hi to you, right? And when you meet any of them on the roads, force them to go to the narrowest part of it. So just make sure that they know their place in society, that they are supposed to, they can't just walk in the main areas. They have to be in the corner. They push them into the corner, right? So this is basically exactly the definition of second-class citizenship, right? But again, they always are like, oh, but we don't force them to convert to Islam, and we protect them because they're giving us protection money. So basically, like the mafia, right? Exactly, that's how the mafia works, right? Yeah. So again, another example of second-class citizenship. This one coming straight to you from the Quran, direct revelation from Allah, right? So if you look at this one, you're supposed to pay the protection money that this is. So fight against those who do not believe in Allah. This is Quran chapter 9, verse 29. Fight against those who do not believe in Allah or the last day, and who do not consider unlawful what Allah and his messengers have made unlawful. So guys, believe in Allah and the last day. These are the articles of faith in Islam. But this, the second part is the Sharia. So it says, if fight the people who do not consider unlawful what Allah and his messengers have made unlawful. This means the people who do not believe in Sharia and who do not adopt the religion of truth, meaning Islam. From those who were given the scripture, fight until they give the jizya. The jizya, this is the protection money, the tax that you give, non-Muslims are supposed to give, right? Willingly while they're humbled. So this while they're humbled is also basically if you read the tafsir and the hadith surrounding this, they need to be humiliated while you're collecting the protection money. So it shows their second-class citizenship. So remember, when they're complaining about second-class citizenship, just remember these verses and this hadith. Anyways, let's go to the second video and watch what this one is about. Before I go to the second video, oh yeah, and actually somebody was pointing at, they're so oppressed because of, how are they oppressed? They have the same rights as everyone else, right? In this video. So what we're saying, oppressed because of the burqa ban, being treated equally as everybody else apparently is oppression. And also the burqa, you are still free to wear the hijab in public. I don't understand what you're complaining about. The burqa ban, not being able to cover the face, unless you have a disease going around in your country, like the COVID. Other than those times, it's a security issue for everybody. Nobody's supposed to cover their face, including you. This is how are you claiming that you're being treated as a second-class citizen when the rule that is being used against you is the rule that is everybody has? You claim that is being used specifically against you is the rule that applies to everybody. Second-class citizen means there are certain rules that applies to us, but does not apply to anyone else. That's not second. It's not second-class citizenship if you are being asked to follow the same rules as everyone else. How is that oppression? And also, we got a super chat. BGC V10 is saying jizya, Aisha, and infidel ideas. We heard them already. Yep, we have to keep using them every time, though, against these people. Every time they say this nonsense, we have to bring the receipts. What I don't know what you're saying. Jizya, Aisha, and infidel ideas. We heard them already. Well, I mean, yeah, but we have to, every time we hear these people say the same thing, we have to basically use the same. It's basically the same hadith, the same Quranic verses that every time we have to use it in the context of what these Muslims are saying, right? We're going to keep repeating the same. We're going to keep hitting them in the head with the same Quranic verses and hadiths. Because that's what we have. That's the tools that we have. So if you are saying, I don't know what you're saying. Are you saying this is we're repeating the same Quranic verses? Yeah, but this is a threat that is being repeated repeatedly being used against us. These threats are the same threats. So again, a lot of times, the context in which the argument that they're making is different. So it's good for us to practice repeating the same Quranic verses until you know them, but you just know them. You just know them, and you could just bring them up every single time, right? So practice makes perfect. We need to use, like, what else are you going to use? It's the same Quranic verses. What I can do, however, is also equip you, not just bring up the same Quranic verses and hadith that I use every time. You guys might get bored, but I might even go to the same Quranic verses but also show you how somebody would defend that Quranic verse and then tell you how to respond to that. But again, I do need to repeat these Quranic verses and hadith. I don't know if you're complaining about that. And again, but by the way, the channel is growing, so many people are new here. I do need to bring up the same Quranic verses for people who haven't seen them before. But let's look at this video. The videos that I'm showing you are new. Every time I'm showing you a video, these are mostly new videos, but the response is going to always be the same response. This one is video number 5, saying, so this is in France again, talking about Islamists wanting Sharia law in France. So let's listen to this. So it's saying the civilization of France and the West is a civilization of lies and sins, a civilization of atheism and heresy. Oh my, wow, you're making me love France even more. Is France a civilization of atheism? I don't think so, but that's a compliment. I hope it becomes so. A civilization of heresy, I agree with. A civilization of atheism, we're getting there. We're getting there. We're close. So yeah, so civilization. They hate the true religion of Allah, the religion of monotheism. Well, good job, France, if that's true. Their civilization is one of prostitution, promiscuity, and homosexuality. Sounds like a fun time. This is why they harbor feelings of hatred towards the Prophet Muhammad. Oh, Macron, know your place. Oh, Macron, know your. Oh, that's their just their chant, okay? Wow. Okay, that's a threat. That sounds like a threat. with jihad, we will destroy your honor. Okay? Somebody saying, in which country this is this? This is in France. Oh, Macron, you lowlife. Tomorrow we will conquer Paris. From Al-Aqsa Mosque, we say to Macron, the enemy of Allah, and from his messenger. Wait, hold on. Let me see. Is this in France? Address at the Al-Aqsa. Oh, no. This is at Al-Aqsa Mosque. This is directed at France. This is not in France. This is directed at France. Okay, so it's saying, so I was wrong about that. It's saying from Al-Aqsa Mosque, we say to Macron. Okay, so this is directed at France, but it's not from France. From the Al-Aqsa Mosque, we say to Macron, the enemy of Allah and of his messenger. Receive the tidings, O enemy of Allah and of his messenger, with which we displease you. Soon enough, there will be a rightly guided caliphate. Jesus. In the path of the Prophet Muhammad. Its great armies will advance saying Allahu Akbar, and there is no God but Allah. To invade France and conquer Rome. By the way, they're very obsessed about conquering Rome because their scriptures and their hadiths mentions Rome and conquering Rome, because back then Rome was like the center of the Christian power. So they always want to, I mean, Italy right now these days is not like a major major superpower, within Europe. France and Germany are a lot bigger than Italy, but they still keep mentioning Rome because they're just stuck. Their ideas and their mindset is stuck from back in 1400 years ago. That's their mindset. It hasn't developed since then. Because back then Rome was the center of power, right? In order to install justice and spread. In order to install justice and spread light there, okay. Soon, O Macron, we shall remove your corrupt civilization. Okay. Sure. And purge the land from the filth of your capitalism. Soon, Allah willing, we will rule you. I mean, this is a less intelligent way of threatening France. The earlier video that I showed you, the ones that the Muslims in France that are saying that, yeah, we're not going to use violence and we're going to take over, France and Western civilization. That is more of a threat. I know a lot of people use these examples as a threat, that people who are saying like, oh yeah, we're going to come and invade and take over. They are never going to do that. These people are not going to be successful. They're just dreaming, right? Like, if you see this, are you afraid of this? If I was French, I would not be afraid of this. Like, they're like, oh yeah, you're going to come and invade France. You and what army, right? If I was French, I would be afraid of this, okay? Because they're already in France, all right? And they don't need to use violence. If I was French, I would be like, yeah, my country has a big enough army to be able to take care of you wanting to come do jihad on France. Like, my country has both a big enough army and enough allies. Like, you think France with its army, it's not even going to be alone if you want to be a threat to France. Germany, UK, United States, everyone's going to come support me. So yeah, you're dreaming. This is not a threat to France. This French Muslim in France who's trying to spread Islam in France without using weapons, this is a threat in France, because I don't have an army against this. right? I don't have an army against ideas. I have an army against a violent jihad threatening my country. I don't have an army against these people taking advantage of a Muslim population to try to radicalize them and basically separate them from the rest of society. France doesn't have an army against this. France's hands are tied against an army like this. This is why we have to raise an ideological army here at Atheist Republic or other activists. Again, guys, when I say army, I'm talking about just a war of ideas. Right? This is you can't just want your government to do everything for you. As citizens and civilians, we have a responsibility to pick up where the government when the government's jurisdiction cannot infiltrate, right? Like they don't have any jurisdiction when it comes to the battle of ideas. You cannot just like, hey, daddy government, come save me here. The government has some responsibilities, and you as citizens have some responsibilities yourself. And this is our job. So cleaning up this mess is our government's job, and cleaning up this mess is partly our government job, but partly our job as citizens ourselves. This is a war of ideas. In the war of ideas, the citizens have to take up arms with words, with ideas, with talking, with dialogue. But let's go listen to this guy and see what he's saying. Yeah, and guys, so join the Atheist Republic Army if you want to fight that other guy, right? Join the Atheist Republic Army, subscribe, hit the bell notification, okay, and tell other people to come. Recruit people for the Atheist Republic Army. So I'm saying soon, Allah willing, we will rule you. I mean, guys, like, are you intimidated by this? Are you intimidated? I'm not worried about this. Like this sounds to me like a child just wishing upon a star, like praying, like soon we will invade France and Rome. Like, yes, sure. No, like this does not scare me at all. It shouldn't scare you. This looks like so childish, right? Like the dreams. This should, do you agree that this should scare you? And this is just something that we could just laugh at? Do you see the difference? So soon, Allah willing, we will rule you with the justice and magnificent civilization of Islam. Then the people of Europe shall realize just how much they were led astray by the French Revolution. Oh my God, I'm actually so by the French Revolution. This guy knows where these problems started for them, like for their ideas, right? This is great. I'm actually appreciating, the mentioning of the French Revolution. This is great. The only response to France and its president is to declare jihad for the sake of Allah. All right, so let me actually see your comments before we go to the next video. Hold on, let me see. We did one comment. Mugiwara saying, Armin, did you forget how much? So did you forget? You mean did you forget? Did you forget how much of a new youth like Bin Laden terrorism work with lefties? They love terror and shout intifada to the West. What are you talking about? Your question is not worded properly for me to understand what your question is. But what are you talking about? Do you think I forgot about terrorism? Do you think I forgot about that? I just compared this guy to ISIS and Al-Qaeda, and I said he's more of a threat. I'm not dismissing the fact that they're Islamic terrorism and they use violence. My point is that this is more dangerous than that, because the world recognizes that as a threat and responds to it. This one is harder for us to tackle because people think that we're fear-mongering, because people don't know that they have more. Like, where is ISIS? ISIS cannot. Do you think ISIS will be able to take over France? ISIS will be able to do terrorism in France, but ISIS will not be able to take over France. It will not be able to spread all over France. This guy and these people are able to take over, like to spread all over France. That's the difference. I'm not dismissing the existence of violence, Islamic violence. I'm not dismissing that. I'm just saying that these people are more intelligent when it comes to attempting a takeover than ISIS. Why do you think I'm dismissing the existence of the violence? Right? Anyways, you guys don't know what I'm either you're not wording your question properly or you don't understand what I'm saying. You think I'm like dismissing this. I'm not. Let's do this video. Yeah, I know what he's talking about, but why did he say this channel constantly talks about the alliance between far leftists and Islamists. I'm like, oh, have you forgotten about that? Like, no. Have you forgotten about what we talk about on this channel? Like, you guys think like you understand it. You guys, like, a lot of you don't understand these things as deeply as I do, and you come and try to remind me of something that this channel constantly talks about. Anyways, what is the context of this channel? Of this video. This is video 4. This video is by, what is it? Is this by the Turkish channel? Yeah, TRT World, which is a Turkish channel, making excuses for Islam. But this one is saying Muslims in France don't want far right. All right, so let's see. Hold on, let me actually bring some. I think there's going to be a lot of nonsense in this video. How many minutes? This video is 3 minutes long. Should I just play it all the way through and then we will respond to it, huh?
I think many of us feel a deep fear for what's to come for Muslims in France and Muslims in Europe in general.
So very concretely, the spirit of their governance.
Wait, this one has music. Let me actually, I did a non-music version of this, so we don't get copyright. Hold on, yeah. I removed the music with AI, so this one will not get us in trouble.
I think many of us feel a deep fear for what's to come for Muslims in France and Muslims in Europe in general.
So very concretely, the spirit of their governance is the complete criminalization of Islam and Muslims. In other words, Muslims in France, outlaws in France.
French President Emmanuel Macron has called for snap elections following his defeat in the European Parliament. France now might be governed by the far right for the first time since World War II. But what would it mean for French Muslims, who already live in one of the most Islamophobic societies in the Western world?
They want to ban hijab from public square.
We have seen them even call for a freeze on the construction of mosques.
They also want to ban architecture influenced by Islamist ideology. Mosque with a somewhat Arabic kind of style would be banned.
In 2022, the far right tried to pass a bill combating what they call Islamist ideologies. With this law, any Muslim movie, book or clothes could be outlawed and Muslims could be banned from running for elections.
What they would do is target the entire Muslim community in an unprecedented way. Citizenship being stripped more easily, people being banned from the country more easily.
A coalition of leftist parties is attempting to counter the far right. They want to recognize the state of Palestine, tackle inequalities, and fight against anti-Semitism, Islamophobia, and racism. But according to most polls, they only garner around a quarter of the vote. The National Rally is expected to remain the most popular party with more than a third of the vote, meaning that France could have an ultranationalist prime minister before the Olympic Games.
We thought that indeed the far right had a strong shot at basically seizing power, but in 2027. And we thought that we had basically 3 years down the line to prepare, to organize. We realized that basically it could happen in 3 weeks.
The situation for French Muslims, who make up around 10% of the population and are the largest Muslim population in Western Europe, was already very dark. In the past few years, France has passed multiple laws restricting what Muslim women can wear, and the government has been accused of shutting down hundreds of Muslim organizations, such as schools, restaurants, mosques, sport clubs, and charities.
We are already subjected to state-led Islamophobia. No one reaches the threshold of the French state.
On March 15th, International Day to Combat Islamophobia, we, as well as a coalition of organizations operating in over 30 countries, indicated that France is among the top 4 countries that is currently promoting Islamophobia. It is the only one in the Western world. India, China, and Israel are the 3 other countries.
Experts now fear that the far-right government in France would normalize even more Islamophobia in Europe and in the rest of the world.
We knew that France was aggressively trying to influence other European nations for them to adopt some Islamophobic policies. Imagine that under a far-right government.
Ever since October 2023, we have seen Islamophobia spin out of control, not just here in the United States, not just in France, but really across the world. We saw, for example, that the French government banned pro-Palestine protests. We've even seen reports of the French government detaining or fining individuals who wear the kufiya.
It's in these dark moments that we need to make an extra effort and continue to struggle, even though we are, of course, tempted to just completely leave the country and abandon the fight. But abandoning the fight means leaving an entire community alone.
All right, so let's respond to all of this nonsense.
For Muslims.
Okay. Let's go back and just respond to everything that was said.
I think many of us feel a deep fear for what's to come for Muslims in France and Muslims in Europe in general.
So very concretely,
all right, so let's see, what's the concern for Muslims in France, okay? Because as somebody who is proudly Islamophobic, I know Islamophobic is not a good term because Islam, phobia is supposed to be irrational, but I am a proud Islamophobic. I want the best for everybody, okay? I want the best for everybody in the world, Muslim, non-Muslim, I don't care. I want the world people to live in peace, prosperity, happiness, stability. I want people to be happy with their lives, right? So if you're concerned about Muslims, I'm concerned about Muslims. Let's see what is threatening Muslims in France. What is the fear you have for Muslims, okay?
The spirit of their governance is the complete criminalization of Islam and Muslims.
So this is a huge claim, a complete criminalization of Islam and Muslims in France. Is that what's happening really in France? Because last time I checked, France is just trying to make sure that the Muslims in France are just not integrated with the rest of society, that they're not segmented, that they're participating with the French people, with the rest of society. None of the laws that France is introducing is criminalizing Islam and Muslims, right? So let's see where is this claim coming from?
Muslims, in other words, Muslims in France, outlaws in France.
So Muslims are outlawed. This is impossible. This is impossible. Muslims who are French citizens, how could you outlaw them? I don't understand. This is they tell us that we're fear-mongering. I have receipts for everything I claim. When I say Islam says this, I have the Quran, and people get oh, Armin, you're showing us the same Quranic verses and hadith. Well, I have to, because I don't want people to, because people tell me that I'm fear-mongering. Every time I say Islam says this, I don't know who's watching here. Maybe you haven't seen our shows before. I have receipts. When I say oh, this is Islam will lead to this, Islam is claiming this, I'm not fear-mongering. When I say so many Muslims are claiming this, I show you the videos, okay? But you're saying that Muslims are going to be outlawed in France. You're fear-mongering. Let me show me. Give me the receipts.
French President Emmanuel Macron.
I mean, if you see something that is violating people's freedom of expression, I will be yeah, that's not okay. But let's see what examples do you have.
Macron has called for snap elections following his defeat in the European Parliament. France now might be governed by the far right for the first time since World War II.
But far right is just is a term that just these people use for everybody who's concerned about their nation, that they're being patriotic, they're concerned about mass migration, people who are anti-Islam, they're all just being grouped as far right, okay? I mean, if I was going to use the word far right, so we have right-leaning people. I mean, for a lot of people, right-leaning just means far right. If you're right-leaning, you're far right. So are there any right-leaning people in your opinion that are not far right? No, we have left, far left, and just far right. Apparently, everything on the right is far right. Okay, so that's how a lot of these people see it. But if I was going to use, I myself have both left-leaning views and right-leaning views, right? But if I wanted to separate right-leaning people from far right, if I was going to use the word far right, I would just use the word far right for people who are genuinely racist and xenophobic, not people who are concerned about mass migration, not people who are concerned about Islam, not people who want to just protect their borders. I wouldn't call them far right. I would just say far right are people who are genuinely homophobic, genuinely bigoted or xenophobic or racist. Those I would call far right. Everybody else would just be right.
What would it mean for French Muslims, who already live in one of the most Islamophobic societies in the Western world?
Yeah, Islamophobic. What is Islamophobic? Do you guys have a definition for Islamophobic? Like, you guys just use these terms to just group the people who are bigots with the people who are concerned about Islam, just group them together.
We want.
Yeah, the word far right and the word Islamophobic has the same utility. The word far right and Islamophobic has the same utility. To group people, to do guilt by association, to have some people who are problematic, genuinely problematic, like some anti-Muslim bigots or some racists, and then use a label that is a more general term that covers a whole bunch of other people and group us with those bigots. That's what these words are designed to do. So it's like they want to ban hijab from public square. Well, no, they don't. They're not doing that. They're banning burqa from public square. They're banning hijab from government institutions and stuff like that. I mean, not even then. People who are actually representing the government sometimes, and also public universities. And not even all universities, just publicly funded universities.
To ban.
Which is fair. I mean, you don't have to go to these public universities. You could go to a private one. But if it's paid by the taxpayer money, then you cannot it shouldn't be used as a place for you to promote a religion. France takes its secularism so seriously that it has a different name for it. It calls it laïcité, but it takes it so seriously that this is government funded. The government doesn't want to endorse a religion. Your freedom of religion hasn't been taken away. It's just being separated from the government. You could still be Muslim. You could still wear the hijab. You just can't be doing that on the government's dime, on the taxpayers' dime.
Hijab from public square.
We have seen them even call.
Yeah, public, not like, what do you mean public square? In France, I've been to France many times, right? You could walk with the hijab in public square, in the park, anytime you want. Like, nobody is banning that. So we have seen them
For a freeze on the construction of mosques.
They also want to ban.
Yeah, freeze on the construction of mosques makes sense. Okay, this is called zoning laws. They might. Okay.
Architecture influenced.
So this is this is a huge claim. Let's fact check this. Okay, they want to ban architecture
influenced by Islamist ideology. Mosque with a somewhat Arabic kind of style would be banned
in 2022.
Let me actually look at that claim. Okay. I just checked this when I was listening to this, and this is what I got, right? France has not passed a law specifically banning mosques based on their architecture features or how Arabic they look. The country has implemented various laws and regulations that indirectly affect the construction and visibility of mosques, reflecting broader tensions regarding Islam in the public sphere. The presence of mosques in France has often been met with resistance, rightfully so, particularly in the context of a growing concern over laïcité, the French principle of secularism that seeks to separate religion from public life. This principle has been used to justify various restrictions on religious expressions, particularly those associated with Islam. So there has been a notable backlash against the visible presence of Islam in France, with some politicians and segments of the public viewing mosques as symbols of a foreign culture that threatens French identity. This has led to a phenomenon termed Moscophobia, where the architectural style and cultural significance of mosques are scrutinized and often opposed. So I see what's happening. So some buildings, they are trying to limit the buildings of mosques, but some buildings are being not filed as mosques, but being a mosque, but without actually acting like they're mosques. So some people are looking at this and are you actually, maybe you're not filing as a mosque, but maybe you are a mosque, right? While there is no outright ban on mosques, local authorities have sometimes imposed stringent regulations on their construction. These can include zoning laws. Yeah, I was right, zoning laws that make it difficult to obtain permits or community opposition based on aesthetics or cultural grounds. For instance, there have been instances where proposed mosques face significant public opposition, leading to delays or cancellations of construction projects. Yeah, this is not illegal. This does not violate any. So, for example, I remember that in our neighborhood, they were trying to build a new apartment, and the community there reacted saying that this is going to block our view from a lake, right? And those buildings permission were canceled, right? So this is a community. This is our zoning laws. These are people in a community, for example, doing a petition against their mayor or whatever authority are relevant at that time, right? And this is that community saying that they don't want this building in this area. This is completely in line with the laws, and this is not a violation of anyone's freedom of expression. Remember, if a community doesn't want a type of building in its neighborhood and you don't get to build that building, this is not making being a Muslim illegal. This is you asking for a privilege that other people don't get to enjoy. The same neighborhood could complain about the church having too loud of a bell noise, and then they would have to do something about it, that because the people in the community are not happy about it. This is just you having to play by the rules that everyone else is playing, and when your religious privilege is being taken away, you're just crying oppression. This is the community's right to not want a certain building in that area. Your right to be Muslim, your right to express Islam, your right to pray, to fast, none of that has been taken away from you. Where is the freedom? Like, oh, I should have the freedom of opinion. Okay, sure. I should be able to express that opinion. Oh, sure. Yeah. Okay, fine. I should have the right to build a building about that with the intention of spreading that idea everywhere I want without any opposition. Like, okay, hold on there. That's not freedom of speech. That's not freedom of expression. We just said the government is not going to get in your way of having that idea or practicing that religion or expressing that religion. We didn't say anything about the absolute freedom to just have any institutions representing that idea and building and constructing buildings surrounding that idea anywhere you want without any opposition. That's not a freedom that Western ideas is supposed to celebrate and uphold. That's not what we said. That's not what we mean by freedom of expression. So this is completely in line with Western liberal ideas if the community wants to limit the construction of certain buildings in certain areas, if they're concerned about it. This is completely right. I mean, we will support the same community if the church was being built there, and the community said, like, yeah, no, we don't want a church here. The community said, we don't want a church here. Like, yeah, the community does not want a church here. They're opposing it. They have a petition. They want the local officials to consider not giving that church, not giving that permit to build a church there. We will respect that. We will respect that community. We will hope for them to be able to successfully get that permit removed. Or a casino. Let's say that we're building a casino in your community, and the community said, like, no, hell no, not in my backyard. And they wanted to fight back against whoever gave the permit for a casino, and the community said, like, no, we don't want a casino here. This is going to ruin our neighborhood. Yeah, that's how things work. That's how things work in a Western liberal country. So what happens? Like, oh, now all of a sudden you don't want a mosque there? And you're like, oh my God, we're being oppressed. Okay, get over yourself. All right, so let's go forward with this other claim here.
Arabic kind of style would be banned.
In 2022, the far right tried to pass a bill combating what they call Islamist ideologies. With this law, any Muslim movie, book, or clothes could be outlawed, and Muslims could be banned from running for elections.
What they
All right, let's see what that law was, because while this video was playing, I went and found, like, okay, so in 2022, the far right, okay, again, quotation, the far right political landscape in France, particularly represented by parties like Marine Le Pen's National Rally and Eric Zemmour's, I don't know how to pronounce this, Eric Zemmour's party was marked by, I know Zemmour is actually even more, far, as these people call it, far right than Marine Le Pen, was marked by a strong focus on combating what they termed Islamic ideologies. Okay, so let's see what this proposed bill in 2022, let's see what was in it, because to see how concerning it is, and does it violate any of our liberal principles, okay? While there was no specific new bill introduced solely by the far right to combat these ideologies in that year, the political discourse was heavily influenced by ongoing legislative efforts aimed at addressing radical Islam and separatism. Yeah, that's great. By the way, it says like they were addressing radical Islam, so they're not even addressing Islam. What the hell? And separatism. Yeah, you should be targeting, separatism. That's a good thing. So let's say the legislative context of what they were proposing, and let's see if we can agree with it or not. Okay. The most significant legislation related to this issue was the separatism bill. Yes, officially called the law supporting respect for the principles of the Republic. Beautiful name. Which was passed in early 2021, but continued to be a focal point in the political discussions leading into the 2022 elections. This law aimed to enhance oversight of religious organizations. Completely, see again, guys, this is completely fine. Religious organizations. This is not targeting. This is not a police state mentality where you're targeting individuals' expressions of ideas, right? So again, there's a difference. We have to see we have to look at what we're supporting and what we're not supporting, right? Every individual should be able to express whatever opinions they have. They should be able to hold whatever their opinions they want and express them whenever they want, okay? But an institution and an organization committed to spreading that ideology, the government basically monitoring that and being concerned about that and pushing back against that, or dismantling an institution around that, that is not a violation of your personal individual freedom of expression, because you could still have those ideas as an individual and you could express them. But the government should be allowed to basically target any institutions that are spreading dangerous and harmful ideologies, right? That is not a violation of your personal individual freedom of expression. So this is so far so good. The law aimed to enhance oversight of religious organizations, particularly mosques, and to reinforce secularism in public life. Beautiful. It included measures to combat radicalization, such as stricter regulations on homeschooling. This is good. The government should be monitoring how children are being schooled. This is a responsibility of every government. To prevent the spread of extremist ideologies. Yeah, remember that parents don't own their children. The government is supposed to take care of its most vulnerable citizens, which means that it's children. Increase scrutiny of mosques and religious associations to ensure that they do not promote foreign influence or extremist views. Great. Prohibition on practices like polygamy and forced marriage, which were not exclusively linked to any religion, but were often associated with certain cultural practices. Okay, this is all good. I don't see what your problem is. What your problem is. What you're saying here, this law, like you're fear-mongering.
Called Islamist ideologies. With this law, any Muslim movie, book, or clothes could be outlawed, and Muslims.
So I'm not saying these laws being able to do that. I mean, you could monitor the institutions that are spreading certain ideologies, yes, but it's not saying that you could ban Islamic books and stuff like that.
Could be banned from running for elections.
What they would do is.
Yeah, I think this is fear-mongering. This is not. You just, instead of actually giving us citations, you just looked at the piece of paper on the look. This is the citation. They just look at the papers on the desk.
To pass a bill combating what they call Islamist ideologies.
I'm not saying he's right or wrong. I'm just saying I'm not saying anything that he's referring to. He's just looking at the piece of paper on his desk, and that's supposed to be his citation.
With this law, any Muslim movie, book, or clothes could be outlawed, and Muslims could be banned from running for elections.
What they would do is.
See, Muslims could be banned. So it's interesting because they're going to ban certain people for having extreme radical views while being Muslim. And they're going to say, oh yeah, Muslims are being banned for running in elections. This is what they're going to say. This is what they're going to say. They're just going to exaggerate what's happening here.
Target the entire Muslim community in an unprecedented way. Citizenship being stripped more easily.
Citizenship being stripped more easily, like France can come and strip away your citizenship because you're Muslim. This is fear-mongering. That's not what's happening.
Being banned from the country more easily.
Look at that sign. Somebody's saying Islamophobia is not freedom. Actually, it is. It should, like, the freedom of speech. I mean, even if Islamophobia was a thing, which is not, but freedom of speech should. I mean, if you want to ban hate speech, then what would happen is what you're saying here that is going to happen. You're saying, like, oh, they want to ban Islam. And then you look at all the things that they're trying to do, and it's not going to ban Islam. And then you're saying that freedom of speech should not include hate speech. Okay, but if we follow that, then we would have to ban Islam. Like, the thing that you're scaring people of happening would only happen if we apply your standards of banning hate speech. Banning freedom of speech includes hate speech. But if it didn't, then Islam would be banned. Like the Quran would be banned. Like, have you read your Quran? It's filled with hate speech. Like, be careful. Like, if we bring hate speech laws, Islam should go first.
A coalition of leftist parties is attempting to counter the far right. They want to recognize the state of Palestine, tackle inequalities, and fight against anti-Semitism, Islamophobia, and racism. But according to most polls, they only garner around the
What about atheist kafirophobia? Okay, so if you want to talk about Islamophobia, then please, like, let's introduce a new, like, because we keep trying to, like, fight this idea of Islamophobia, which is a nonsensical term. But how about we also call that kafirophobia? Like, okay, let's ban Islamophobia, but only if you also ban kafirophobia, okay? Because if we want to ban kafirophobia, then we would have to ban the Quran. Nobody on their right mind could read the Quran and not be convinced that the Quran is kafirophobic. It's kafirophobic. It's kafirophobic. That's a term now. I just made a term. Quran is kafirophobic. And it's unfair if you want to fight Islamophobia and not fight kafirophobia. And if I'm willing to, if we ban Islamophobia and kafirophobia at the same time, then you wouldn't need Islamophobia because the Quran and the Hadith would have to be banned. They say, yeah, the Quran started it. By the way, kafir means infidel. We're all kafirs here. Kafir means infidel. If you're new here.
Order of the vote. The National Rally is expected to remain the most popular party with more than a third of the vote, meaning that France could have an ultranationalist prime minister before the Olympic Games.
We thought that indeed the far right had a strong shot at basically seizing power, but in 2027. And we thought that we had basically 3 years down the line to prepare, to organize. We realized that basically it could happen in 3 weeks.
The situation for French Muslims, who make up around 10% of the population and are the largest Muslim population in Western Europe, was already very dark. In the past few years.
So I want to get to that part that the lady said something about banning. This is the part that I want to respond to. Hold on. This.
Of the French state.
On March 15th, International Day to Combat Islamophobia, we, as well as a coalition of organizations operating in over 30 countries, indicated that France is among the top 4 countries that is currently promoting Islamophobia. It is the only one in the Western world. India, China, and Israel are the 3.
So why is it not including the 4th country? So hold on. Let me see. Oh, no. So France. Okay, I'm actually quite offended here. So there's currently, look at this, guys. Tell me in the live chat, why am I offended right now? So look at this.
Operating in over 30 countries indicated that France is among.
So France is one of the top four countries.
The top 4 countries that is currently promoting Islamophobia. It is.
Okay, promoting Islamophobia.
The only one in the Western world. India, China.
So there's France, India, China, and Israel. And France. I am very offended here. Tell me why I'm offended. I am triggered. That. Tell me. I'm not going to say it because I want to say why am I triggered? So they're mentioning countries that are promoting Islamophobia as France, India, China, and Israel. 4 countries. Somebody's saying Israel being mentioned. No. By the way, I don't. When it comes to fighting Islam, I don't agree with the China model or the India model. Okay, I do agree with the France model and Israel model. So Israel and France based here. Okay, China not so much, but I'm offended for a different reason. Yes, fantastic. Yes, because they didn't. The number one country, the main exporter of Islamophobia in the world, if Islamophobia is a thing, exactly, French Pixie got it, is Iran. Like we should be given a gold medal for the Islamophobic medal should go to Iran. What are you talking about? No country hates Islam more than the people of Iran. How could you not mention? I think you didn't mention that on purpose. I think you don't mention Iran's Islamophobia, the rise of Islamophobia in Iran, because it would validate, occupied Iran, because it would validate Islamophobia, right? Because if you mention India, China, Israel, and France, these are Muslim minority countries, but a country that is supposed to be a Muslim majority country, it going from being Islamic to now being the main country that is anti-Islamic, the amount of hatred that exists for Islam in Iran, no country in the world can match the Iranian people when it comes to their hatred for Islam. Not even close. Not even close. So why didn't you mention Iran? Because maybe people would think maybe they have a point because people in Iran live with Islam. Maybe we're like, if they hate Islam, maybe there's a maybe hating Islam is the correct position. Yeah, wait, hold on. Somebody's saying something. Somebody asked me a question. Where is that about this? Yeah, thank you. Alfred highlighted this new exactly what Armin, if Iranians hate Islam so much, who brings Islamists on the power in Iran? I didn't say all Iranians, okay? So Iran is the number one country when it comes to Islamophobia, but that still leaves you with 10% of the population being extremely religious and supporter of the regime. I think supporting for the regime, the support of the regime is 8%, right? But the regime, this is why we call Iran occupied Iran. This is why we say that the people of Iran have been taken hostage, because a minority of people, a religion that represents a minority of the country, is ruling over a majority of the country. So here's the thing: Iran is now less than 50% Muslim. So Iran is now a Muslim minority country. Even among the minority Muslims, most Muslims in Iran now want secularism, right? So even if like close to less than 50% of Iranians are Muslim, but that less than 50%, even the Muslims there, they don't want an Islamic government. It's only, I would say, maybe like something between 6% and 8% of Iranians right now want an Islamic government, right? And that's who's ruling Iran. That's what the mullahs are relying on, that population, right? But also among the people who are not Muslim anymore, there's a growing resentment and hate for Islam stronger than every country. Like the way you're asking your question, it seems like you're making it seem like I'm generalizing the hatred for Islam among all Iranians. I didn't generalize that. There's still, like, even if you have like 8% of Iranians supporting the regime, that's still millions of people. And dictators sometimes rely on a minority to be able to rule. I just said Iran has the highest amount of Islamophobia than any country in the world. That's what I'm claiming. And that I can I have backed that up by scientifically collected data. So I'm not just saying that, making that up. But anyways, so but again, Iran usually, it's very unfair that Iran doesn't mention. Like, can you even the hatred that exists for Islam in France? Would you even be able to find remotely as much of hatred for Islam in France as you can find in Iran? Like, the hate, like, you have to see what I deal with when it comes to people in Iran hating Islam. Like, they hate Islam with such passion that for a lot of people in Iran, it has turned into their identity because how much Islam has ruined their life. Like, they have nothing defines them more. Some people, unfortunately, in Iran, nothing occupies their minds more than their hatred for Islam. Like, there are many Iranians that just live and breathe hatred for Islam. They like, this is constantly on their mind. But anyways, let's continue.
And Israel are the three other countries.
Experts now fear that the
Also, Israel, by the way, hatred for Islam is justified, but hatred for generalizing and hating all Muslims is not justified, right? You mentioned Israel. If there is hatred for Islam in Israel, well, that's great. That's good news, right? But look at the countries that you're mentioning. Like, among the 4 countries that you're mentioning, France and Israel, compare the standards of living for Muslims and the rights and freedoms Muslims have in Israel and France compared to Muslims in Islamic or Arab countries right? So like, oh, Israel gives its Muslims and Arab citizens the same rights and protection and freedoms than everyone else. So does France. And these countries are being Islamophobic. If you are a Muslim, you're so much better off being a citizen of Israel or France than a citizen of any Islamic country. On average, you will have enjoyed so much more rights and freedoms. So Islamophobic, sure, that's good. I hope it spreads. But Muslims, you're complaining about Muslim standards of living? These countries will provide you the best. Like, this is why in Israel, for example, after October 7th, more Muslims in Israel come out and claim that, they're proud Israelis, and the nationalistic and Israeli sense of identity in Israel among Muslims is growing after October 7th. More Muslims in Israel are claiming to be, we're Israelis and we're happy here and we support Israel. Compare Muslims in Israel than Muslims in other places. This is what France is trying to do. Muslims, when they're trying to fight, the segmentation of society, for Muslim and non-Muslims, they're trying to do what Israel has been so successful at doing. Israel is treating this Muslim citizens of Israel so well that they're becoming more and more, it's not enough yet, but they're becoming more and more, they see themselves more and more Israeli. And France is trying to do that with its Muslim population, trying to make sure that they're not separated and isolated from the rest of society. Unlike what the Muslims want themselves, unfortunately, unlike what many Muslims in France want themselves, they want to separate from the rest of society.
The far-right government in France would normalize even more Islamophobia in Europe and in the rest of the world.
Knew that France was aggressive.
Wait, so that was not the part of this lady. This is the part. Where is it? There was a claim that this lady made. I wanted to double check because we support people's freedom of assembly as long as it's peaceful.
I've seen Islamophobia spin out of control, not just here in the United States, not just in France, but really across the world. We saw, for example, that the French government banned pro-Palestine protests. We've even seen reports of
So ban pro-Palestine protests. Again, so if your protest is peaceful and it's not threatening and harassing people, you should have the freedom to protest, right? And the government should make it easy for you to get the permits for the protest, right? But let's see what happened here. Because these are sometimes I think like we can't trust these people. We have to actually go fact check. In October 2023, France implemented a ban on pro-Palestinian protests, primarily due to concerns about public order disturbances following the escalation of violence in the Israel-Palestine conflict. This decision was announced by Interior Minister Gerald Darmanin, who cited the potential for unrest and anti-Semitic incidents as key reasons for the prohibition. The directive was issued shortly after Hamas launched a significant attack on Israel on October 7th, which heightened the tensions in France, a country with substantial Jewish and Muslim population. The French government justified the ban on the grounds that pro-Palestinian demonstrations were likely to incite disturbances to public order this Darmanin's telegram to local prefects emphasized that such protests could lead to violence and unrest, particularly in light of the recent attacks. Okay, we already read that part. Reports indicated that over 100 anti-Semitic incidents had been recorded since the outbreak of violence, promoting the government to take a firm stance to protect Jewish communities and maintain public safety. Seems reasonable to me. So it goes into a lot of detail, the legal context following the ban, ruled against blanket. Okay, so following the ban, the council, okay, I can't read French. There's a name of a council, France's highest administrative court, ruled against a blanket prohibition of all pro-Palestinian demonstrations, okay, while the court upheld the government's right to impose bans based on specific assessments of public order risk. Look, even the court in France, the highest administrative court, came out and said, okay, sure, government, you can't find, if specific, based on specific assessments, you could ban certain protests, but you cannot do a blanket prohibition on pro-Palestinian demonstration. Look at the government working properly. It emphasized that each case should be evaluated individually rather than applying a systematic ban across the board. Beautiful. This ruling highlighted the importance of balancing public safety with the right to protest and freedom of expression. Jesus Christ, like every time I look at these things, every time these people are saying like, oh, France is evil. What happened to your freedom of expression? When I go look at the details, I'm like, oh, it's so much more nuanced and so much, France, you're doing great. You're doing great. Shut up, people. Like, shut the hell up. Shut the hell up. You're trying, this was misinformation. That was a misinformation propaganda. That was a lie. Like, as soon as I go and check out the details, I'm like, yeah, no, you were lying. Anyways, I wanted to do this video. Dolly gave me 2 videos from Marine Le Pen, which I'm not going to do today. Both of them, I could do both of them in one stream, just focusing on Marine Le Pen, so we could evaluate if she's like a bigot, if she's far right, evaluating her speech. Guys, let me know if you want me to do a dedicated stream to Marine Le Pen and basically criticizing or seeing if people are fear-mongering against her. Is she a racist? Is she not a bigot? Are people misinforming us about her, what her views are? And basically look at 2 videos of her and evaluate, like a dedicated stream to that. Let me know if you would welcome that. Let me know in the comment section if you want me to do that, right? So let me actually respond to some of your comments that Alfred has started. Thank you. Guys, Alfred is here, just sitting here, highlighting your comments, starting the comments for me to read. Thank you so much, Alfred. You make the show so much better, right? This makes the show, you guys could participate in the show as well, but because of Alfred, right? So let me see, my audio is working properly. Yes, everything is good. So this guy, Bungazil, I think, is saying, you people want to ban Islam so bad, but Islam will win. Well, you're an idiot, because you just saw that I was making sure that Islam, I respect freedom of expression, that I was actually checking, because I want to fight Islam, but I don't want to ban Islam. I want to fight Islam without banning Islam. If you actually knew anything about us, you could see that I am a liberal that is very concerned about freedom of expression, and I'm always double checking to see if the fighting against Islam is being done in a free, liberal way without banning it. These people, these videos that I was showing, these people are like, oh, they're going to ban Islam. And I was like, oh my God, are they going to ban Islam? Are they going to ban freedom of expression? Let's go see if they are. And they're like, no, they're not. They were like, they're lying. They're lying about us. They're not banning Islam. So you can see that you're I don't know, you're either an idiot or you're a liar, because you can see that I'm not somebody that is in favor of banning ideas. So yeah, you have no idea what you're talking about. And no, Islam will not win. Islam will lose. Liberalism will win at the end of the day. So liberalism is stronger than you think. Idris is saying, Insha Iblis, unlike Muhammad said, the Romans will not ally with The Romans will not ally with Muslims, but instead with the Iranians against Islam. Oh, that's a beautiful wish. Thank you, Idris. Kiko is saying, France is laïcité. Can women wear a skirt in Iran? Good point. By the way, some people say, don't say France is secular. I mean, France is not secular. France has laïcité, not secularism. What do you guys think secularism means? Okay, France has secularism. Their secularism is called laïcité. Secularism is just separation from religion, and laïcité is separation from religion. So it's a version of secularism. Rakshith is saying Islam should be banned till it reforms itself. No, Islam should never be reformed. Islam, what are you talking about? Islam, this is a horrible idea. Islam should never be reformed. Islam reforming is how it survived. Islam should be annihilated and destroyed, not reformed. There is no good version of Islam. Guys, should I do another stream about talking about why Islam shouldn't be reformed? Do not talk about reforming Islam. That is dangerous. Islam reforming its defense mechanism. Islam has been reforming throughout its history. Whenever there's a threat against Islam, it reforms, it adapts, and it survives, and then it comes back with a vengeance. That Islam is more dangerous because it's flexible like that. Do not support the most dangerous part of Islam, which is reformist Islam. What are you talking about? And Islam, you cannot ban Islam. You cannot ban ideas. Attempting to ban Islam is the best thing you could do to help grow Islam. Is the Islamic meme would love for you to try to ban it, because that's how it will grow faster. Haven't you guys learned anything from the history of ideas? Yeah, Islam should be destroyed, not reformed, and destroying Islam cannot be done with banning ideas. Bungazel is saying, why you hate hijab? Well, I hate modesty culture. Modesty culture is rape culture, and hijab is modesty culture. Mary Alex is saying Muslims don't understand about respectful behavior and kindness. Okay, that is a huge generalization, Mary Alex. I do not agree with that at all. There are many respectful, kind Muslims. We are on this channel. We generalize when we talk about Islam, and we do it so confidently because Islam is all evil. Because it's easy to generalize Islam because it's based on mostly one book and a couple of hadiths, the Quran and a couple of hadith books. And to be able to say, it's easy to say Islam is all pure evil, all evil, right? It's easy to say that because we just judge it by the claims that it's making, right? So we do generalize Islam. There is no good version of Islam, but we do not generalize Muslims. We have good Muslims and we have bad Muslims. So all Islam is bad Islam. There is no good Islam. But when it comes to Muslims, we have good Muslims and we have bad Muslims. I don't like this generalization when you're talking about Muslims, right? Many Muslims are not really following Islam. You know, most Muslims, Islam is like a virus that is trying to destroy your humanity. Okay, but people's humanity is stronger than Islam. So in most people, Islam is not going to completely destroy their humanity, even if they're Muslim. So according to them, God has punished us to be soft. Imagine how twisted that is. Again, so I don't know. Again, when it comes to what people believe and how much they actually commit to those beliefs, that's also a huge other discussion. There are many Muslims who are kind, respectful people. So I don't know. Have you not met Muslims that are kind, respectful people? How could you say that about all Muslims? I don't understand that. I'm just saying. So what? There is a law against Islam in France now. No, there is no law against Islam in France now. That I just showed you that. Yeah, Islam is a virus. Yeah, so it is. Okay, so I read that. Bungazil saying, stop the hate, bro. You people are giving every bad thing to Islam, and that's not right. I don't know what you're saying. I'm not giving every bad thing to Islam. There are many bad things in the world that is not related to Islam. Why should I stop the hate? Islam is, we should hate, like, hating Islam makes sense. Like, do you not, Bungazil, do you not hate disease? Do you not hate poverty? Do you not hate things that cause misery for the world and people? We hate Islam because Islam makes people miserable. Islam is a set of really bad ideas that is not good for society. In fact, one reason why I personally hate Islam is because of my love for Muslims. Because the main victim of Islam are Muslims. So to properly show love for Muslims, you have to hate Islam, because Islam ruins people's lives, and mostly Muslim lives. So to hate Islam is to love Muslims. Tubi is saying, is it because the Islamists there have guns and the Iranians don't? I don't know what you're saying. This question, the start questions, I don't know what the context was. Hannah saying, Armin, minority can't keep majority and them for so long. I don't know what you're saying here either. I don't know what this is referring to. Levante saying, was Iranians ever majority believing Muslims during the Islamic Republic rule? Yeah, during and before it. It was a majority Muslim country just 40 years ago, or even 20 years ago. This is, yeah. The Islamic Republic of Iran has made many Iranian people hate Islam, right? It managed to turn into a majority Muslim country, into a minority Muslim country in less than one generation, which is quite impressive. Ash is saying, there is a famous saying among us Iranians that goes, the Islamic Republic, actually, this is exactly what I was saying. Ash is saying, listen to this. There's a famous saying among us Iranian that goes like this. If the Islamic Republic has done one good thing to Iranians, it's showing Islam's true nature. Perfect timing. This is exactly the point. Guys, this was not planned. This just happened as soon as I said it. I highlighted this comment without actually intending to do that. Mary Alex saying, which country will follow Iran? Well, Albania seems to be doing such a good thing in de-Islamizing. Alfred is saying, please, it's my honor. Oh, Alfred is so great here, highlighting your comments and starring. So Alfred does two things, right? Highlights your comments while I'm talking, but also stars the ones that he thinks I should be reading at the end of the show. Those are the two things that he's doing. Thank you so much, Alfred. Anyways, I'm going to go. Thank you guys for being here. Guys, please like the stream. Leave a comment after the show is over. The comments boost the algorithm. Say for the algorithm, or say for the YouTube gods, or something like that, right? And then what else? Yes, and then subscribe if you're new here. If you're subscribed and haven't hit the bell notification, that is why you're missing the streams. If you're subscribed to the channel and like, why am I missing these amazing streams Armin is doing? It's because you haven't hit the bell notification. So hit the bell notification so that YouTube tells you when we are live. And then also, yeah, tell your friends, your enemies, strangers, everyone else, your pets, jinns, angels, everyone, and tell them to come subscribe to Atheist Republic on YouTube so that this channel grows. Let's grow the Atheist Republic army. But also please do not recommend the Atheist Republic YouTube channel if it's dangerous for you to do so. If you're living in a Muslim community or in an Islamic country and there will be consequences for you to recommend our channel, then please do not recommend our channel. Also, thank you to everybody who is super chats to support this channel, but please do not support this channel financially if you are struggling financially, okay? For everyone else, there's a PayPal link in the description. There's a donate button after the show is over. And there's everything. There's many ways. And there's our Patreon. There are many ways that you can support us financially. But please only do that if you are safe and secure financially. Thank you, guys. Bye. Till next show.